Okay, I hope everyone will see this. If not, this is going to be a very quiet summer solstice live. Oh boy. I just cannot get a break here. Um, I have, let's see. Yep, it shows that my streaming is strong. Okay, don't know what happened. All right. I thought I avoided this when I left the mountains. Unbelievable. So as everyone starts coming in, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about the power of the sun during the summer solstice. Very strong power, apparently, enough to like kill the internet. So, so anyhow, the summer solstice for this year is going to be very unique at many different levels. For me in particular, there's been a lot of shifts, and so I want to embrace this time of Litha and honoring the strength that the sun has given and the guidance um, that it will give or has given up to this time. So, as I mentioned, the summer solstice is. Hey, Cal Lizzie, did you want to jump in on the stream? um, do you want to be my guest? You just popped in here. Just let me know. Um, so so yeah, I'm embracing all this energy from the time of the winter to where we are here at the summer. Again, I was talking about the peak of the season. Is high noon. It's the strongest point of where the sun is, and it radiates its energy. It's very powerful. So, as I was talking about, we start losing light very slowly. Okay. So as we go towards the fall season, we could start reflecting in a sense of everything that we've done so far. It's it's okay. It's okay, Kristen. This will be a two-parter. Oh my God. So we can start seeing what we've built up. Everyone's that's interesting. Hang on a second. I'm getting these comments. This is going to be a very off the cuff. Okay, that's fine. I got your message, Lizzie. Thank you. um, I won't add you on. I won't add you on. And I see Sharon O'Connor here. I don't know who that is. My teeny, hi, how are you? So okay, let me just let's take two. So my internet, for those who are coming in, cut out when I was right at the point of my sermon. And I have no idea what happened. So I had to now switch over to StreamYard because for some reason YouTube doesn't like refresh uh, the live that you're doing. You have to stop and start over. So I didn't want to do that. So here we are on StreamYard. Um, so that's what's going on. That's why I'm a little thrown off track because I had to change gears. But let's just jump right into and continuing with the summer solstice discussion. And I'm sorry, I've missed the conversations that were taking place um, on YouTube. So continue here. If you have any questions, just let me know. So with the summer solstice, um, what it means for me and what I'm going to do from here on in is hi, Queen Ra. Thank you for joining. Um, I'm going to use this energy. The sun's very strong, very powerful. Can't say it enough. It is our force, it is our influence to keep us going. It is filled with life, it is vitality. And and to bring that into any shifts that are going on, any shifts that you want to manifest. I always bring this book up when I do my discussions, because I think it's a wonderful, very basic guide um, through all the Sabbats. It's not a chunky book or anything. It's Ancient Ways by Pauline Campanelli and her her husband Dan Campanelli. They both have passed on, but this book goes through a little bit of the history, some of the traditions of the Sabbats. And interesting enough, when I was reading about the Midsummer portion of this book, and don't worry, I'm not going to be talking about this book for the rest of the discussion, but just to point out a few key things. Midsummer is the time that we use protection herbs. It's everything that we've been working on. We want to take care of it, but we also want to protect it. So some of the herbs that are used during Litha, if you have access to any of these, rue, R-U-E, is a protection against evil comes to you. Also, interesting enough, this is a time for protection that you can add a protection for animals, things that have been of great support for you. We want to maintain that. We want to hold on to that. So rue is very, very important. St. John's wort is another powerful herb to use to help with spirit energy. Keep away any energy that could be negative spirit-wise. If you're doing spirit work, we need to keep those forces very much at a distance. Vervain is another herb that is associated with Litha, the summer solstice, and it is of purification. And it can banish evil, negativity. So at this point right now, with the midsummer energy, herbs to work with, in particular for this time of the year, are vervain, St. John's wort, and also rue. And these are to keep, any forces. If you feel like you're in an environment that's just not safe, if you have a sprig of this, or if you work with these kinds of herbs, they will help. And mistletoe is another one, which I thought was interesting, because mistletoe is usually used during the winter months, but it is actually a form of protection. And the berries, just the mistletoe itself, but without the berries, the berries add more of a protective, or it adds more of a fertility aspect to the mistletoe. And the berries we use during Yule. And mistletoe for midsummer without the berries has more of a potent use for protection. So the berries add the fertility, which makes sense because it shows that growth. And also it talks about, it's very interesting here, different signs, different meanings of the signs that we have here. Here we go. For protection, the 5-pointed star, oak leaves, things that are in 6. And you can see where I've highlighted. Apparently, there are some barns that she talks a lot about Pennsylvania, some of the Dutch portions of Pennsylvania, and also the German portions of Pennsylvania. Some of the traditions and folklore that's used in those areas. And you can see here where I highlighted 4s in multiples are masculine energy. 3 in multiples are feminine. So 4, we see the square, we see the What's the word I'm trying to think of? We see the formation with 4, and the 3, we're starting to see the building up. We're starting to see everything starting to flourish. I'm going to take here a quick second. So what's really important here is during the summer solstice time and of Litha, what forces do we want to bring in? Okay, what is of importance? Okay, and so we can use these powers of numbers. We can use these symbols to empower us. One thing that I thought was interesting here is in this book, in Pennsylvania, when the Germans came in, it says here a system of healing magic that they used was called pow wow, and it's not associated with the Native American traditions of the dance of the powwow. Powwow is sort of a play on word. It's more or less along the lines of power, but it's, I guess at that time it was powwow. And the term power itself is seen to have the ability or to know of someone who knows how to work with charms, someone who has that knowing, that understanding of how to work with tools and do it in an empowering way and also in a protective way. So the solar cross, I could see an example here, show an example of the solar cross. You can't see it too much. Okay, so the solar cross is basically, it's the cross that we see here in the center, and then we have the grapevines that are wrapped around this cross. The grapevines are the protectors of whatever it is holding. So if you have a pentacle, a cross, any form of power symbol, the grapevine holds and protects that energy. So this is an example for a solar cross. The solar cross is the 4 directions, north, south, east, west. And so when you work with that force of the solar cross during this time of the year, it empowers everything more. The book goes on to talk about the legend of King Arthur. And I don't follow too much of the medieval history of British folklore and whatnot, but she goes on a little bit to describe the power of King Arthur and how he could represent the sun god, the equivalent to the sun god, because he dies and he comes back to life. And they make mention about the Excalibur, the sword, which is his athame, his source of power. Okay, so another thing that can be used during the midsummer, during Litha, is something that's called the witch's ladder. Okay, the witch's ladder is basically taking some string, yarn, anything like that, and getting 9 feathers. I'm going to show you this right here. 9 feathers, and you attach them. You attach the yarn to each of the feathers, and you can lock it in a circle. And as you're doing this, there's an incantation that you can say as you're doing this: with this feather in the string, protection to my home I bring, or protection to whatever source that you want to have protected. So it could be an animal, it could be a car, it could be an individual, You can state the name of the person as you're creating this witch's ladder. The colors that are also recommended are red, white, and black. Those three colors represent the goddesses, the stages of life, of growth that the female goes through. We have the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The maiden is white, mother is red. I got red back behind me, and the black is crone. And so you can work with those different pieces of material, yarn, colored cloth, and tie these to the 9 feathers. The feathers here are recommended to have different kinds of feathers. I think it's best. I know for the most part it's not easy access to get to various kinds of bird feathers, but if you are in an area where there's a variety of birds and you see some feathers, take them, use those. The ones that you could get in the stores are just as nice, but those would have to be charged. Those would have to be cleansed. You would do the same if you find, any of these tools out in nature. You do have to cleanse it and whatnot, but I feel the power of finding feathers right outside in nature holds much more than something that you get through a store, like a bag of feathers or anything like that, because it's been processed, it's been handled through different hands, and so that energy gets transferred into those feathers, into those tools. So that's why it's always important to cleanse. It's and to bring in the energy that you want into any of the tools that you work with, including our tarot decks. Let's see here. In Anglo-Saxon, or the sun god is female. That's the beauty with the Sabbats, because there are so many different cultures. Thank you for sharing that, Kristen. Where these energies can be seen differently. The deck that one of the decks I'm going to be reading with to do our summer solstice reading, it's going to be a light reading, because when I do the full solstice reading for the months of July, August, and September, it's going to be a little bit more comprehensive. But this one deck that I have here, the moon card is actually not showing female energy, but it's showing masculine energy. It's showing a male force connecting to the energy of the moon. So I think that's wonderful. It's good that we see all these different perspectives and the cultures, the way that they see the power of the sun, the moon, the planets, the association to them, feminine, masculine energy. I think it's really important to see and understand both of those different perspectives. Yes, red, white, and black, hands down. Those are the 3 colors that I like to have with me with my practice, especially with the Barbara Walker Tarot, because that is the color scheme, and she does talk in the book, in her book, about the phases of the triple goddess, and the reference of the white, red, and black. Those colors are very powerful, and they hold a very great influence throughout metaphysical practices, the occult. So they're very powerful colors. Okay, so let's see here. What else? Here's something interesting. Okay, so I wasn't going to talk too much from this book. Just in closing here from Ancient Ways. It is a time to remember, this is during this time of the year, it is a time to remember that the traditional magic of Midsummer places an emphasis on the protection of animals, not only of beloved animals and faithful livestock, but of those wild creatures who are likely to cross our path when we venture out in our cars and RVs. And I will say yes to that because in New Mexico, the each state has either a flower or an animal associated to represent the state. Here in New Mexico, it's the roadrunner, and I've been seeing roadrunners when I'm driving. They literally go beep beep, they just literally cut right in front of you. And I don't know if this is true. I don't know if the person I was speaking to is kind of pulling my leg or something, but because it is the state bird, and it makes sense with the eagle being in California. If I don't know if you run over the roadrunner, or if you do harm to the roadrunner, there is a fine, and I think there's um, uh, some time in prison possibly for doing this. So I love animals. There's no way I'm going to run over a creature. God forbid something needs to happen. Um, but when I was told that they even puts even more extra awareness to uh, to that cute little roadrunner. I don't know if any of you have seen roadrunners, but they have a pretty amazing look to them. They have a very long tail and a very narrow face and like a very strong long beak, and they're probably like a foot long. And I remember the first time I saw this roadrunner pop up, and it's just like, wow, that is just amazing. It's an adorable creature. Um, okay, so that's a little bit from ancient ways, um, and trying to think. The other thing I want to point out too is because when people see this, I don't. They're considered a bird. They are definitely a bird, and they fly. They don't fly like through the air. I believe they don't, but I did see one that had prey in its mouth when it was running across the street, and it flew up onto a wall. So I believe they are land creatures, like a land bird, but really adorable. Um, the one thing that I wanted to point out too is I want to. I'm trying to think of the word right now. Oh, the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, Brazil, Chile, all these places, um, they are now entering into their winter season. So they are celebrating Yule tomorrow. They'll be in that season of Yule. And now their days are going to start growing. They're going to start seeing that energy gain while ours slowly start to wane. So for them, and I wanted to speak about this so anyone who may be watching from the Southern Hemisphere, I don't want them to feel neglected or not being made mention of. Yule is now the end of that waning season. The Holly King represents that season from from Lammas all the way to Yule. And then when that energy passes away of the Holly King, in comes the Oak King. The Oak King represents sun, power, wisdom. And so we see this exchange of energy between these two entities. And so in the Southern Hemisphere, we start seeing this energy of light. And for us, we start seeing the light become less around August, as I mentioned, during the time of Lammas. And in the Southern Hemisphere, they'll start seeing the light gain during Imbolc, which is February 1st. And that is considered to be the first light of winter, like getting towards the tail end of winter. They're getting ready to go into spring. So it's interesting as we go into opposing energies right now of the peak of our season here in the Northern Hemisphere coming to a slow end. And then in the southern hemisphere, where Yule is now getting ready to start welcoming in light. Warmer weather will probably not come for quite some time. Cooler weather won't come for us till probably like around the fall season for most of us here in the States. So I like the opposing energies. And it's like we exchange that energy come tomorrow. The timing also of the summer solstice for us, Litha, Pacific Daylight Time, it's 2:13 a.m. and 5:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So for those who do magic at night, early morning, that is the peak of when Litha and the summer solstice comes. Obviously, the sun isn't out, but tomorrow at 12 noon, as I mentioned a few times, that's the strongest point of the sun on that day, and that's when the day will be our longest. And then, as I mentioned, in the months to come, we'll start losing that light. We'll see it around August. Also, it's the day that we go into Cancer. Okay, so I'm not going to make this all astrology oriented, but we move into Cancer tomorrow. Cancer goes into, enters into its sun sign the same time of the summer solstice. And I want to wish a happy birthday to all the Cancers there. So for Cancer, we go from June 21st to July 21st, and then we move into the sign of Leo. And then the next episode that I have I will be discussing about Lammas, and I will do a reading for that as well. So I will also do the decan readings for the month of for the first decan of Cancer, and that will be popping up later on the week, and I will discuss that in that episode. I don't want to take up too much time and start sidetracking. So how's everyone's summer going? I'm going to move into doing the readings in a moment. As I mentioned, the readings that I'm going to do here on YouTube is going to be it's going to be a little bit less, because the full reading that I will be doing to represent the summer solstice seasons or season for July, August, and September will involve 9 cards, and that's going to take a little bit of much time. So what I will do though is I will pull 3 cards from the Witch's Oracle, which is the deck that I work with, to kind of give the general tone of what each of those months will represent. And then the other cards, when I do the recording, will go into a little bit more specific as to how we can work with that energy for each of those months for summer. So yeah, let me know how everyone is doing. Any plans for summer? Has there been any shifts, any changes with anyone that you would like to share about? Let me know. Let me see what else. Before I go into the reading, there's the one deck that I had mentioned earlier that I'm going to incorporate with this reading. It's going to be the deck that I'm going to work with throughout the summer. It's the Vision Quest Tarot, and this deck falls very much in line with the energy of living out here in the desert. If you look back at the video that I did to discuss the Vision Quest, it's the perfect deck for me. And so I shouldn't say perfect deck, because there are decks that have perfection in my eyes, but their energy is placed into different different directions, into different sources. This Vision Quest is Native American inspired, and I think I mentioned it in the video. I know I did. I'm pretty much I've grown enamored with the Native American culture, and I'm seeing I'm seeing signs happening here and there for me to explore it more. So I'm going to be working with this deck quite a bit. And it was very challenging to decide to do the summer solstice reading, the decks to work with, because I have the Witch's Oracle is my hands down for all the Sabbats. But to do the actual readings, I've always worked with the Witch's Wisdom and the Wildwood Tarot. Those were the two decks that I've worked with throughout the times of me doing these Sabbats. But now there's been a change. And I looked at the Witch's Wisdom, and it is a very nature oriented, directed deck, working with the elements: air, fire, earth, and water. But for this reading, it didn't speak to me. And I can't say why. There's just something very different. And so I had to start narrowing down what decks I'm going to work with. So it's going to be the Vision Quest. And I'm going to stick to the Wildwood Tarot because I really wanted to see if I could just narrow it down to one deck. And it was really hard because also the energy of the Wildwood Tarot and the Vision Quest showing Native American energy, and the Wildwood Tarot, their energy, even though it's nature oriented, it has I can't even think of the word right now for it. It has Celtic roots, lots of mythology, the energy of the forest, the energy of water is very different. The energy of fire and air, it's very different in this deck. Visually, I'm just pulling a few cards. Visually, and you'll see the Vision Quest and the Wildwood Tarot. The images are similar in regards to illustration. So that's more or less how I see these two decks working together. The Vision Quest holds a little bit more of pips. So there's going to be a little bit of difference in regards to how the meanings of the cards are depicted. But for the most part, I want to work with these two. They feel very strongly for me. I'm going to show you 3 cards from the Vision Quest that I pulled the other day. A personal reading, so that you can get an idea of the energy of this card. And it's very interesting because behind me, there's this landscape, desert landscape that looks just like this. And then the thunder and the lightning that we've been getting the few days. This I pulled before the storms came in. Daughter of Earth instead of page or princess. Okay. So you can see illustrative. It's a little similar. This holds more detail. There's a lot of force. There's a lot of good movement, I feel, with the Wildwood Tarot. And the Vision Quest, the energy is more healing. It is more, the energy moves a little slower. For me, it connects in a very different way. So that's an example of the Vision Quest, the imagery that comes from that deck. Okay, so let me drink some water. I'm going to pull the 3 cards to just do the basis of this reading. And if the cards that I pull, if you have anything that feels very similar, hi Lady K. Justin, hi, how are you? If you have any cards that you like to pull for the summer solstice in relation to the cards that I have here, feel free to do so. Any cards that I pull in a reading, I encourage people, go to your deck that you're working with or go to a deck that speaks to you and pull out those cards and see what comes to you. What similarities are you seeing? What differences? What's the energy that you get? And I sometimes do that, when I watch people do readings online, or they're or they're discussing a certain topic and they're pulling cards about it. I go to a deck and I just pull cards and see what energy I get from it as well. Because sometimes the energy can be similar. It can also be different as well. So it's something that I think is a good exercise, is to do readings in comparison to what someone else has read and see what you get from it. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the Witch's Oracle. And I'm going to pull one card. And again, I have to apologize, and I want to apologize for that internet issue. And it wasn't so much internet. I think it was, it was internet because I still have power here inside the home. So wrong timing. And during a live, of course. All right. Okay, Justin, totally fine. Listen away. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to move back here a little bit. I'll be right behind you, Justin. I'm going to have lunch after this, and then I'm going to head off to work as well. So I'm there with you in spirit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 3 cards from the Witch's Oracle. Okay, and these 3 cards, as I mentioned, I'm going to use as guides to represent the energy of July, August, and September. Okay, you will have to stay tuned when I do the full reading and I pull the other cards. I will pull one card as guidance, since we are getting ready to enter the summer solstice tomorrow. And that will be part of the reading that I will use for the month of June. Okay, so Witch's Oracle, our energy for June, or for July. Month of Cancer, summer solstice. Vitality, healing, strength, courage. Month of Cancer. Nurturing, sensitivity, intuitiveness, emotional protection. All right, here we go. All right, and then let's go with, I'm going to show you the card in a moment. Yeah, I want to work with this. So Vision Quest. Does anyone have this deck? No one has said anything in the chat. Does anyone have this wonderful deck? I've heard the name mentioned. I've seen it discussed here and there throughout the tarot community, but not a lot. This deck It was originally printed in 98. And then I think its second edition or its reprint came out last year, 2021. Okay, so here we go. Oh, excellent, Lady K. Wonderful. You have the medicine cards. I remember seeing that deck on your channel and you working with it. I was thinking about getting it. I might, but I'm really attuned with the Animal Spirit deck, Kim Carnes' deck. That I feel works really strongly for me, but I'm not gonna rule it out entirely. Hi, Julianne Victoria. Tarot Gilded Mirror, hello, welcome. I do not recognize your name unless you have been here before and you changed your name, but thank you for joining. And here we go. So I am pulling one card for our month of July to represent Cancer, to usher in the summer solstice. And again, as looks like as people are coming in and going out and coming in again, stay tuned this week where I will give the full reading and I will go into more detail for the energy during our summer season for July, August, and September. So I repeat myself over and over again because I don't know when people are leaving the chat or if they're sticking around. So I repeat the energy again. Okay, so here, let's go right into July. Okay, I will show you the Witch's Oracle card I pulled. Vision Quest. For a month of July, what's the forces that we have? What's the guides that we have to work with? And thank you everyone here in the chat for just welcoming everyone, saying hello and being and showing kindness to everyone. That's wonderful. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull from the bottom. Okay, so all right. So the Witch's Oracle, this is the book, but on the cover is the same. Here, I'll show what I'm talking about. That's the Witch's Oracle. And this is the deck that I pull from when I do my Sabbath readings. Okay, ready? Here we go. I have here the lady. Hey, Rachel, how are you? Thank you for joining in. Please be careful driving. So I have here the lady. Okay, so I'll try and get this as close as possible so that you can see. Hang on one second. I need to change my screen here. It is not letting me. Okay, it's fine. So we have here embodiment. That's our key word. Okay, so this is the card. This is the energy for the month of July. Okay, and as I mentioned, I'm going to pull cards that will go into a deeper reading, and I will explain further about this. So the lady here, I almost want to say this is the energy of full disclosure. We have the tools, we have the cup, we have the sword, we have our light. But what's interesting here is we have the crossing of different environments. We have the ocean, water, a body of water here. It's pink, which is interesting. We have the peacefulness and the beauty of the swan. And of course, we have the raven. I'm going to move closer here. We have the raven, and I love how the pentacle is right above the moon that's rising above, rising behind her head. For me, this is almost an openness, almost like a level of attainment, the embodiment. This is where we have what we have gone through. This is our result. We also have what to me looks more like desert, aridness. Look at the transition of energy here. We have the flowers on this side. We see a lot of growth. We see a lot of shifting. We see the honeybee. Bees represent work. We also have wheat. We have the grain here of harvest. We have the dove. We have the roses. There's a lot of beautiful energy here. And so I feel with this card here to represent July, this is an expression of what we've gone through and where we are at this time. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be all positive, but this is our potential. What have you, I'll take the word here, what have you embodied within yourself? And it is now coming out outwardly. The sun represents our external self. It's revealing. It's that force of energy, of movement, of excitement, of strength. And that's energy that we could bring in during the month of July into this. And as I mentioned, we're also we will be in the sign of Cancer. So this could be the maternal strength, the nurturing, the protectiveness that this feminine energy can represent. Energy that we put into the way that we work, the way that we present ourselves, our environment. Cancers, interesting enough, Cancers rule the home life, family life. But it's also, look around you. Okay, this is for everyone. Look around your environment. You know, the saying, home is where the heart is. Okay, I'm sort of deviating from this a little bit. I just want to extend. Look at your home and what emotionally, not physically, how it looks to you, emotionally, how do you feel about your home? Do you feel secure? Do you feel it's healing? Do you have all the sources that you want? That makes that home very special for you. Because that's an extension of who you are. That's the embodiment. Okay. So here with the lady, I'm speaking more of the feminine aspect that we all have. Men, women, however you identify yourself, this is our feminine side. This is our strength. This can also be the magician, but a female version of it. Okay, I did pull one card as well. I'm going to read here a little bit for the comments. That is a dove. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Mel. We have the dove and the swan. And it's interesting because everything of beauty is placed on this side. The gracefulness of the swan, the peace of the dove, the roses. And then here we see the land. It's like we have water, and then we have the land, the wheat, the green, the nourishment of of the earth element. Then we have the desert. The desert can also represent a fiery aspect. And then, of course, we have the halo of the moon right behind her. Full revelation. The arms are open, receiving. It is, isn't it, Lady Capera? Of the Empress and the High Priestess. It's like it's a combination of those energies. I mentioned the magician just because of the tools. Just because of the tools that they have. And then, of course, the crow for the messenger as the guide. A very strong card. And I feel it is in line for that month of July for Cancer. Okay, so the other card I have here is, and this is going to be part of the reading that I will do for July. I have Two of Earth. Okay, and this is the Vision Quest. Okay, so we have the keyword of change. The Two of Earth, or Two of Pentacles, Two of Coins. We tend to see this symbology, right? We usually see two opposing orbs or two opposing energies that are somehow in a circular pattern. And this is the balance that we're trying to maintain during this time. We're working towards something. Remember summer? Okay, this is the apex of the time of the year. We're 6 months into the year. We're halfway into it. What have we done so far? For the month of July, this Two of Earth, we start moving forward with what we've already created. Yeah, of course, Mel, the sun and the moon, these are all properties that are part of the development of Earth. The sun, of course, is the nourishment. The moon is the cooling aspect. If we had sun all the time and no moon, then obviously the energy of the world and, of course, us would be completely different. But the moon, it's so important. The masculine, the feminine, we have the hot and the cold. We have the healing and the movement. Is it a pear? I don't know. I would say it's probably squash or some sort of gourd because the Vision Quest is Native American. So those are some of the vegetables that are associated with that community. The squash, the gourds, trying to think of some other plants right now. But here we're seeing, I'm going to move closer here. Here we're seeing, the building up. We're seeing how these two energies are working together to sustain this. We have the roots here. And so we need to have these opposing forces. Okay, we need to have the light and we need to have the dark. That's what I was saying. We can't have the sun all the time. That moon energy, that balancing of opposites is so important. Another thing I want to point out, I'm going to turn the card like this. Okay, we start seeing the crescent of the moon. As my neighbor's hot rod is starting up right now. So look at the energy here, how it changes. Okay. Yes, that's true, Julianne Victoria, the yin yang. We're looking at opposing energies, opposing forces, and how they influence us. And the same here. This is something that we need to maintain on a daily basis. The balance, the working with opposing forces, communicating with people who don't see the same way that you do, feeling things in a way that other people don't feel. These are things that happen on a daily basis. This even happens within ourselves, right? Um, that you can actually, um, you know, we need to understand this. We need to come to terms. We can't fight. We can't be one-sided. But the universe, everyone is different. Some people lean with, one perspective of things, and that's who we are. But it's always good to see the both sides of things, and that's what I bring across in my readings. Don't focus so much on the one side of positivity, like the sun card, that is just jumping with a lot of energy of, growth and transformation. But the opposing meaning of the sun is no movement, stalemate, no growth, no transformation. It almost becomes, it becomes almost like an eclipsed moon or an eclipsed sun. When the sun has no movement and it's covered, it's obscured, during that time, that energy is just, it becomes stifled. And so we need to know how to balance with those opposing energies. So especially solar eclipses are very powerful. And it's all based on, your perspective. People see eclipses as dangerous. Physically, obviously, looking up at an eclipse is not good for the eyes. But energy-wise, um, people see a solar eclipse as an omen and not a good time. It's like a retrograde of sorts. It's like the sun retrogrades during an eclipse for that time being, and it's just not a time to do anything until it passes. Let's see here. Tarot Gilded Mirror. Did you know that YouTube now offers StreamYard-like features? Oh, no, I did not. Well, thank you. Thank you for telling me this. Um, I had to switch over to StreamYard because I only use StreamYard when I have guests, but my internet dropped while I was on YouTube, while I was doing the live. So I had to go ahead and um, jump over here. So that's good to know. I don't record videos too much. I'm trying to catch up. So I'll look at that feature. But thank you for telling me that. I think YouTube is starting to feel the punch of StreamYard and the features that StreamYard offers that YouTube doesn't. Um, that's good to know. Um, yeah, I'm going back here, Lady Capera. Balance between the masculine and feminine and harmonic perfected state. I mean, that's how all the twos are when you go across um, uh, all the minor arcanas. The two we see we see balance. The Two of Swords, it's it's a imbalance of sorts, depending on which deck is representing that Two of Swords. It could be seen as a negative, but again, anything that comes up on a heavier side when it comes to a tarot card, um, I look for the opposing meaning of it as well, because it's really important to understand that. So for July, okay, I think I'm going to have to end off soon and then do the recordings, because I'm watching my time before I have to head off to work, and I need to have some lunch. But here, and I keep forgetting about StreamYard. It doesn't mirror back. So here, okay, let's do this. Okay, so we're seeing the charge taking control um, of our environment and how it influences us. and working with it. I'm going to do this too. Once again, I want you to look at the card like this. Okay. I know I kind of have the glare here, working with it. There we go. See, look at the energy there. Okay. And now here. This makes it very difficult. So anyhow, the scene completely changes. And I like how the sword is facing on the side where the water is. Beauty, gracefulness, emotionally revealing. And then on the opposing side, we have the cup, that which nourishes the land. And the sword, the thoughts, using thoughts to emotionally connect with people. And then we have these elements here. And also we have the candles I pointed out earlier. It's right at the feet, but it's also, it's sheer, the robe that that is being worn here is revealing. It's transparent. You can see through to the other side. Self-revealing, very important. Alrighty. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop here because I'm realizing right now how much time that I'm going to be spending doing these readings here. So I'm going to save that energy to a recorded video for this reading for the summer solstice. So these two cards will be part of the reading for July, okay, to represent the month of Cancer. And then August and September, I will do the readings for those months. There's going to be 3 cards each, so I'm going to pull one more card for the month of July. Okay, and I'm going to work with the Vision Quest for this month of July reading, and I'll see how August and September potentially work with the Vision Quest or the Wildwood Tarot. See where it speaks to me. So I don't want to mix up decks. Like for 1 month, I'm doing one card with one deck and another card with a different deck. I want it to stay the same. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to leave it at that. All right. Thank you, Lady Capera. Thank you so much. So we'll do that. Come back. I want to wish everyone a wonderful summer solstice. And any questions that you may have about any of the readings, anything that was discussed during this live, let me know. Feel free to leave them in the comments. And I'm more than happy to answer and to help you out in any way that I can. So remember these cards here. You will see them again when I do the readings. This week is going to be filled with some content, so bear with me. I'm going to do the Decan reading for Cancer. Tomorrow, as we bring in the sign of Cancer, I have that reading already recorded. Then I have to do the full reading for the summer solstice for the coming months. And so take a look. Watch your channel. Let people know about this channel if you are interested. If they are interested. And I will see you all again soon. All right. Let me see. There's a few more comments here. Tarot Gilded Mirror, end of April. Any channel with 50 subscribers. Oops. Um, a one-time donation on any video must be turned on in the YouTube studio. Okay, that's good to know. You're so welcome, Nancy. Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll take a look and see what comes from this. Um, okay, so I see that there's some private chats that are going on as well. So I don't know if anyone has um, any questions that they want to direct to me. But other than that, thank you, Julianne Victoria. I got your email. I will reply soon. Um, and yeah, looking forward to summer. I mean, these rain, thunderstorms that we've had the last few days have just been a great relief for me from the dryness that we've had and the heat. So it's been very, very good for me and energy wise. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful start to the summer, and take a look at those videos that I have coming up. Okay, and I will be back to doing live readings, maybe this week. I have to see what's going on because my schedule is always up in the air and changing. So that's why these things pop up last minute. Okay, so remember those herbs to use for the summer solstice. Summer solstice is the season of protection for our animals, things that we've worked hard for. Maintain them and keep them very close to you and well guarded. All right. Happy Litha, everyone. Summer solstice tomorrow at 2:13 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 5:13 Eastern Daylight Time for the summer solstice and welcoming in the sign of Cancer. Okay. I will see you all soon. Thank you again for your patience and keeping me and everyone else company. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.